hello everyone. This is Fadi, and I want to welcome you to a brand new video series with our dear brother Mel. And this one, I'm sure it will be an eye catcher, and it will go like wildfire since we are dealing about no other than Muhammad and his name. That's why we called it the origin of the name Muhammad. Now, whether we're talking about the same Muhammad or not, that's irrelevant, but we want to take a deeper look at what does the name mean in the first place as it was originally intended, and we'll let you folks be the judge. Of course, joining us here virtually via Zoom, our dear brother Mel, to discuss all of that. Mel, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, and we appreciate the research that you and the team usually do, and what a blessing to have you, brother.
Well, it's great to be back, Al, and I think this is a really important one. We're kind of going to the real core of things. Where did the name Muhammad come from, and actually what is the original way of pronouncing the name? This is going to be key because the whole standard Islamic narrative hinges around this person of Muhammad. Was he an Arabian prophet, or does Mahmed, which I'm going to suggest was the original way that the name was said, or the title was said, could actually refer to someone or something completely different to what we imagined.
Right. So in this particular series, I know you are going to cover a number of important points. Could you walk us through those so that people can be prepared to what to expect next?
Yeah. So in the next episode, we're going to look at where Muhammad comes from in the Bible. So we will actually see the origin of it in terms of Hamad and Mahmedim. Now, there's a debate between those who say, well, Muhammad is prophesied in the Bible. I don't take that line. And there are also people who say, well, the name is not in the Bible at all. And I would argue, no, the name is there, but it's not a prophecy of an Arabian prophet. It's something else, and we need to unpack that. We're also going to look at the earliest reference to Mahmed, which is where the name Muhammad comes from, and it's over 3,000 years old. That's going to be in episode 2. In episode 3, we're going to look at the use of Mahmed on coins and inscriptions. And what's going to be really telling is the fact that in each case, we're going to see that there are Christian symbols in association with Mahmed, which totally flies in the face of the Islamic narrative. There's no way that it could be referring to an Arabian prophet if they're referring to Christian symbols, and particularly the cross. We're also going to look at a 7th century source called the Maronite Chronicle, and it refers to Mahmed's throne in relation to Muawiyah. And Muawiyah says that he's not going to set up his throne there. And we're going to investigate where exactly is that location. And I've been able to work out to the best of my ability where I believe Mahmed's throne refers to. I'm also going to be looking at Mahmed in the Quran. What or who is Mahmed in the Quran? Obviously, the Islamic narrative would say it's referring to the Arabian prophet, but actually I'm going to suggest that if you look at it in context, it actually really refers to Jesus. Jesus is referred to in lots of different ways throughout the Quran. The people who are writing in the Quran don't have a particularly orthodox belief. It's not particularly 100% orthodox Christianity we're talking about. But we're going to investigate that. We're going to investigate the meaning of measure of is associated to the term Mahmed and what that means. And there's quite a bombshell to be revealed with that one. We're also going to look at the idea of the use of the word Mahmed in the Sufi tradition, which has a divine connotation, which is going to be a bit of an eye-opener. We're also going to look at the various versions of Mahmed down through the centuries, including Muhammad, Mahmed, and Mahmet, and various other ones as well. And it's going to be interesting to see that it's actually Mahmed was the origin of all of these versions. And And that's it. It's going to be quite an eye opener, this series. I think the crucial thing is, where did the word come from, and what did it originally mean before the Islamic narrative changed the name and the meaning. And
Wonderful.
that's it in a nutshell.
Well, that's wonderful. And by the way, when you refer to Muhammad or the name itself, that it originated from, are you talking about a person, an adjective, or a combination of things?
It's going to be, as we'll see, that this is a word or a term that has evolved over time. So sometimes it's an adjective. Um, in fact, in the early days, if you go back to, if we talk 3,000 years ago and even into the Bible, it's more used as an adjective. And then it was used in relation to God, and then it was used in relation to Jesus, and eventually it was used in relation to a person from Arabia. So it's going to vary, and I'm purposely using the pronunciation Mahmed, because obviously when you add vocalization to the rasm, you can produce different meanings and different pronunciations, and that's actually critical to how you interpret the word. And I'm going to suggest actually that Mahmed is the original way it was pronounced, and that's very important. So that we're not just assuming the way it was interpreted centuries later, like in the 9th or 10th century. So that's it in a nutshell. It's going to be a real eye opener, and I hope Muslims who watch the videos will keep an open mind. And I would highly recommend that they watch the entire series so to get the full picture.
That's wonderful. One last question for you. You mentioned something about the coins or the coinage. Are you referring to the same type of coins that, for instance, Jay Smith have been using, or is it something new that you've discovered?
Yeah, you're going to see many of the coins that Jay has mentioned. There's also a coin that was referred to by Thomas Alexander. And these coins, they're very familiar, I'm sure, to many of the viewers. They have Mahmed on them, but also a cross and other Christian symbols, as we'll see later. Yeah.
Very good. So, because this is an introduction, folks, we are going to make this intro a short video simply because we want to dive into the first episode coming soon here. And you will begin to see that the length of the episodes will vary depending on the content, but we'll do our best, as always, to keep it as short as we can. However, we need to unpack these important information. And as Mel mentioned, you, meaning the viewers, have a responsibility to share this with your Muslim friends, with others. Make the knowledge about this be also available for people who are usually unaware of any of this. Believe it or not, Mel, we get a lot of emails from people saying that it was an eye opener for them. I get emails from Muslims who have decided to leave Islam after watching videos like this because they began to realize that there is a big confusion and big cover up or a big lie in their mind that have prevented
Yeah.
them from knowing the truth. Whatever the case might be, our intent is to share the truth and share it openly. You, as our viewers, whether you're Muslim or not, have a responsibility to go and inspect what we are talking about. What I like about Mel or my guests like Jay or even in my case, we give you references. We want to make sure you go and you investigate the reference. Don't rely on someone in reinterpreting what we said. You go and investigate it yourself. These days, we are without excuse. You can find libraries online, not just a book or an article. You can find anything you want online, but inspect it, double check it, make sure that what we said is accurate, read it within the context. Don't take one thing out of context and say, oh, but that's not what the author says. Oftentimes, the author will say one thing and then will clarify it later. They were just mainly making a point. People tend to take the point and claim that that was what the author says, when in fact, that's not what the author was saying. The author was starting with a point and then clarifying it moving forward. Anything else you want to add to this, Mel, before we wrap it up?
Um, I would say that it's really important for viewers to double check everything I'm saying to you. I'm using primary sources and wherever possible, contemporary sources. The earlier, the better, because I don't trust sources that talk about events 200 or 300 years before. It's much better to get as close to the time as possible. And that way we're not being fed someone else's interpretation. So all of this is publicly available information. Everyone can go and find all of the things that I'm mentioning online if they just look. So feel free to look, and I'm willing to respond to comments below the videos if they're sincere, and if you want further clarification, I'm more than happy to respond to any questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you, our amazing viewers. And we encourage you to share comments, share any references that you may came across, any clarifications. We always welcome that. Thank you, everyone. This is Al Fadi over and out. God bless.